Throughout his 2024 campaign, Trump has made it clear that he's running not only to regain power but to settle scores. The rhetoric of vengeance has become central to his campaign narrative, with promises to pursue political rivals, overhaul the federal government, and fundamentally reshape the American legal landscape. In a series of interviews and public appearances, Trump's allies, including attorney Mike Davis, have outlined a chilling vision of draining the swamp that would impact millions of Americans. They talk openly about purging government institutions, deporting millions, and even imprisoning figures like New York Attorney General Letitia James, who has been a vocal critic and prosecutor of Trump. Davis, seen as a potential Trump Attorney General pick, recently stirred controversy by making thinly veiled threats against political opponents, vowing to enact a reign of terror on Washington, D.C., if given the chance. This level of hostile rhetoric is unprecedented even for Trump, who has historically used inflammatory language, but is now taking it further than ever before. Prominent Republican figures have joined Trump's aggressive stance, fueling anxieties even within Trump's own circle. Many supporters are beginning to wonder, where will this stop? Will the targets eventually include their own communities? 2. Mass deportations and the threat to families. Among Trump's most controversial pledges is a promise to initiate mass deportations on an unimaginable scale. His rhetoric includes plans to deport not only undocumented immigrants, but also their children, parents, and extended families, people who have lived, worked, and paid taxes in the United States for years. Trump has spoken of deporting 10 million people and growing, with little regard for the social upheaval and economic consequences this could bring. Many of Trump's supporters have traditionally backed stricter immigration policies. However, the reality of seeing neighbors, coworkers, and community members rounded up and deported is causing discomfort, especially in areas with large immigrant populations. Farmers who rely on immigrant labor to keep their businesses running are particularly anxious, fearing they may lose their workforce. As the scope of Trump's vision for mass deportations becomes clearer, some of his base are beginning to reconsider whether this aligns with their values. 3. Anchor babies and the families targeted. A major point of contention in Trump's immigration policy is his vow to target so-called anchor babies, children born in the United States to immigrant parents who are American citizens by birth. Trump and his allies have argued that birthright citizenship is a loophole exploited by immigrants, and they've indicated a willingness to challenge this principle, despite its firm grounding in the U.S. Constitution. This policy would mean deporting not just undocumented individuals, but also their American-born children, which could lead to family separations on a massive scale. The fallout from such a policy is immense. For many Trump supporters who are also parents, the idea of tearing families apart is deeply unsettling. Even those who support stricter immigration policies are questioning the morality and legality of deporting children who know no other country but the United States. This extreme approach has prompted a wave of criticism, even from typically pro-Trump media outlets, as Americans consider the social and ethical costs. 4. Targeting public institutions, a path to authoritarian control. Another cornerstone of Trump's agenda is his promise to dismantle what he calls the deep state within the executive branch. His allies have advocated for firing thousands of career public servants who Trump and his team perceive as disloyal or resistant to his agenda. This sweeping purge would replace experienced officials with Trump loyalists, fundamentally altering the functioning of government agencies and diminishing their ability to operate independently of political influence. For Trump supporters who believe in a strong and efficient government, this proposal has sparked concerns. Many conservative Americans work within these institutions, and they see Trump's plan as an attack on the very structures that maintain law, order, and national stability. The idea that Trump could fill the government with yes-men, unconcerned with objective facts or legal standards, has unsettled those who once believed he was a champion for transparency and accountability. 5. Pardons for January 6 participants and criminalizing opposition. Since the January 6th Capitol riots, Trump has maintained a defiant stance, often painting the event's participants as patriots. He's pledged to pardon those convicted in connection with the riot, signaling his support for political violence if it serves his interests. Mike Davis and others close to Trump have doubled down on this, promising pardons for individuals who participated in the insurrection and criticizing law enforcement officials involved in prosecuting them. This policy is controversial, even among Trump supporters. While many agree that the Justice Department has overreached in some prosecutions, the idea of pardoning individuals convicted of assaulting law enforcement and disrupting the peaceful transfer of power raises serious questions. Trump's promise to pardon January 6 defendants suggests that he sees political violence as a legitimate form of protest, a notion that could have dangerous implications for America's future elections. 6. Backlash from female supporters. The men win again mentality. One of the most shocking aspects of Trump's recent rhetoric is the brazenly sexist undertones that some of his allies have espoused. Figures in Trump's camp, including Davis, have taken aim at the possibility of female political leaders, declaring that men win again and mocking the idea of a woman ever holding the presidency. These statements resonate with Trump's anti-woke rhetoric, but they're alienating to many female supporters who had once looked to Trump as a champion for working-class Americans. The condescending language directed toward women and the dismissal of gender equality are causing many conservative women to question their support. This new wave of misogyny isn't about policies or conservative values. It's about denying women the same opportunities and rights. For women who have supported Trump in the past, this messaging is crossing a line, signaling a troubling pivot in the movement that increasingly values aggression over equality. 7. Attacks on local leadership. Governor Gavin Newsom in Trump's crosshairs. California Governor Gavin Newsom has become a target in Trump's campaign, representing the liberal values Trump vehemently opposes. Trump has attacked Newsom for protecting California's progressive policies, particularly those relating to reproductive rights, climate action, and immigrant protections. Newsom, in turn, has vowed to defend his state from federal overreach, signaling a brewing battle between red and blue states that could escalate if Trump is reelected. For many Trump supporters, this clash has become a double-edged sword. While they dislike Newsom's policies, they are wary of Trump's willingness to override state governments. The federal versus state rights debate is a cornerstone of conservative philosophy, and Trump's eagerness to assert federal control over states like California has left some Republicans feeling conflicted. It raises a fundamental question. If Trump is willing to undermine state sovereignty in liberal states, could he do the same to conservative ones if it serves his agenda? Donald Trump's 2024 campaign is not just about winning an election. It's about radically reshaping America to fit his authoritarian vision, targeting not only his political opponents, but potentially even his own supporters. With a rhetoric that emphasizes retribution, a readiness to overhaul public institutions, and a disregard for democratic norms, Trump's agenda has alarmed even his most loyal followers. As these policies and promises come to light, many are beginning to wonder if they've overestimated his loyalty to the American people. For some Trump supporters, this isn't just about political allegiance, it's a question of values. They're realizing that the extreme agenda Trump is proposing could impact their own families, neighbors, and livelihoods. As 2024 approaches, they face a tough decision. Do they stand by Trump despite the risks, or do they reconsider their support for a leader whose agenda now seems to threaten everything they hold dear? The future of Trump's campaign will likely hinge on whether his supporters can reconcile their loyalty to him with their discomfort about his agenda. And as his rhetoric grows more extreme, that may become a harder task than they ever imagined.